These do get posted up on YouTube, so you can review it or share it with other people. Hopefully you love it so much you want to share it with everybody you know. Anyway, today we thought we'd talk about, as Jacob pointed out earlier, people abandoning checkouts. It's kind of amazing. And a lot of times that's how you can spot somebody new, is they're like going, I can't believe I'm losing 30% of my checkouts, that start. And it's like, you're only losing 30%. What's your secret? They don't understand that in many cases it's much bigger, and that there are things you can do that may reduce that, for you, or provide other benefits to your customers and ultimately to your revenue. Which is what we're all here about. Let's see here. Let's start with Sam, because you and Jordan have a new product on the market that I thought people would be interested in, especially if they're not on Shopify. But anyway, go.
All right, let's do it. So I'll be speaking. Sam and I are both from Rally. First, Lori, thanks for having us. This is cool. Always good to get together with real people, not just like Twitter profiles. It's good to see everyone. Yes, what we are bringing to market really is aimed at this specific issue around people showing intent to purchase, and then for one reason or another, not buying. So just to take a very quick step back, I'm Jordan. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Rally. My previous company was called CartHook, and the reason it was called CartHook is because it started as an abandoned cart app. So I used to run an e-commerce business myself with my brothers. We sold niche products like solar lights and hammocks and electric fireplaces, things that were difficult to find offline. It was about 10 years ago now. So we were on Volusion. And that's kind of where I learned everything about e-commerce that I know now, and where I got into it. And then launched CartHook, that then turned into a checkout product on Shopify, and now have since exited out of that company and started Rally. And what Rally is, it's a headless checkout for the entire web. In many ways, the way you can think about it, it's like a e-commerce checkout, but it works across platforms and across processors. And so what we do is really focus on the checkout. E-commerce platforms traditionally have a lot to worry about. They have the front end, they have the back end, they have the app ecosystem, they have payments, they have all these different things to worry about. And what ends up happening sometimes is that the checkout ends up languishing a bit, and there isn't as much innovation as there should be at the point of checkout, because once it's up and running and processing billions of dollars, the incentive to innovate there is low. So that's where we come in, and we focus exclusively on it. And I'm going to share my screen, and I'm just going to do a very quick walkthrough of what a shopper experiences. And then I'd love to hear some feedback, some questions. This is really new to market. We built it for about a year, and our first accounts are coming on board now. Some in the BigCommerce world, in WooCommerce, and in Swell, and we're building a bunch of other integrations. So why don't I do that now? Let's take a look. Let's share screen. Can you guys see my screen here, the BigCommerce store? Okay, cool. So I'm just going to run through the shopper point of view so you can really understand what your shopper would experience using our product. And then we can get into what's actually happening underneath the hood and some of the interesting things that we're adding on. Okay, so this is a BigCommerce store. So it's a BigCommerce front end. And what I'm going to do here is first move this Zoom stuff over. Okay, I'm going to add this to the cart. So this is a sticker that we sell as like a demonstration. And then I'm going to go to the cart itself. And now here is where our product starts to take over. Right now, we're still on the BigCommerce store and the BigCommerce front end. And this store is integrated with our checkout. And so when I hit this checkout button, instead of going to the traditional default BigCommerce store, it's going to go to the Rally checkout. And so what we've done is brought over all the information from the cart object. So it's the same product and price and everything that you have set up. And now let's start checking out, and let's see what happens. Okay, so what just happened there is I have checked out on a Rally checkout in the past. And because I did that once on a Rally checkout, from now on moving forward, anytime I go to any Rally checkout throughout the network, regardless of which platform it's on, and also regardless of which payment processor the store is using, I'll be recognized. And now I get to authenticate. So I just got a text message on my phone. Let's put in the message that I got. And now what will happen is my information will be recalled from the vault. And so I don't have to retype any of my information in. So this is one of the critical abandonment points. When someone adds something to the cart and shows the intent to buy and then goes to the checkout, any friction at all is going to increase the likelihood of abandonment. So the intention of this feature is to grow as big of a network as possible so that your specific returning shoppers have a really easy time checking out. And then as the network grows, then there's more and more people on the web that when they come to your store, they can check out very easily in the same way. So now all I would have to do is I just look at this information. It's almost like Amazon. I just confirm that this is right, and I hit the Pay Now button. And then that reuses all the information that I have saved. If I wanted to change my shipping address, I could. If I want to add a new payment method, I can. And then we get to a thank you page. And now this is still a Rally page, but what's happened is we've communicated with the BigCommerce backend. So if I hit refresh here, we should see, there we go, order number 116. There we go, 116. So now what we've done is we pushed all the order information into the BigCommerce backend. That triggers your apps, adds a person to the email marketing list. It feels and behaves for both the shopper and for you and your fulfillment team like any other order. And so what we've done here is we've really just taken the store and everything stays the same, but you're just upgrading the checkout experience. And that leads to a better shopping experience for the shopper and higher conversions for you. So now let's take a quick look at the actual admin. Like as a merchant, what do you see and what do you control? And this is the Rally admin. Here's some statistics and some analytics from this test account. And then here's where you start to have control over your checkout. Like I mentioned before, it's a pretty new product. So we're going to keep things tight in terms of design, but over time, more and more functionality and customization is going to be available. But right now you can very easily add your logo. You come and select your payment options. We have Apple Pay, GPay, PayPal. We're adding a whole bunch of others like Buy Now, Pay Laters. And here, all you need to do is just authenticate once and then you're done. So we don't force you to change anything on your payments. You just bring over your existing Stripe or Braintree account and we'll add more payment processes over time. Then there are other things that you can customize. Really importantly, we've done this before at CardHook when we switched over to a checkout product. That grew tremendously. We ended up doing over $2.5 billion in processing through it. And so we are very aware of how sensitive a checkout is. And we think about the merchant's experience and making sure that we'd never, get in the way of their business and can build up confidence. So one of the things we do to build up the confidence is allow you to control the amount of traffic. So when people get started, they could just send like 10% of the traffic, make sure everything's working properly, and then go toward like 50%, which is almost like an A/B test between our checkout and your default checkout. And then our intention, our goal is to build so much trust and ROI that you crank all of it toward our checkout instead of the default. We have a bunch of extensions, different payment processors. And I just want to show you one more thing before I stop the screen share and then kind of see if anyone has any questions or feedback. One of the big things that draws people to our product is because we have the checkout. What that means is that we also have access to the payment token that's generated at the payment processor level. And what we've developed is a very unique way of using that payment token to drive additional revenue. We do that with something called post-purchase offers. And a post-purchase offer looks a lot, where am I? There we go. It looks a lot like this. What this is an offer page that's seen by the shopper in between the checkout page and the thank you page. So what does that really mean? If you think about Amazon and their "you may also like" feature, right? That was incredibly helpful for Amazon in increasing the average order value. And they still use it to this day. Now, a lot of other people use it also. What that does is it makes a recommendation for a product that the shopper should buy alongside what they already have in their cart. The issue with that is that it adds additional friction. It adds a new buying decision to the buying process. And as we're talking about abandonment today, that is not good. Anything that gets in the way of the purchase is not good. It might be worth the risk for the average order value, but it's still risky. Now, Amazon is not nearly as concerned as any of us in terms of who's coming back to their store. They're 100% sure you're coming back. So because other merchants need to be concerned about that friction, what we've done is taken that upsell offer and we put it behind the checkout page. And so there is no additional friction. So let's say someone buys a gym bag, and instead of saying, you may also like this blender bottle for the gym with your gym bag, instead, in our case, we let the shopper just go through the cart page and then the checkout and buy the gym bag and hit the buy button. And then once they see the buy button, instead of seeing a thank you page immediately, they see this offer page. And if they want to take this offer, they just click that button right there, add to order. It charges their credit card again and then wraps it all into the same order and then puts it into the BigCommerce backend as one order. The shopper gets one email confirmation. Your fulfillment sees it as one order. And what you've done there is you've increased your average order value a lot. To give you a little bit of scale, at CartHook, that $2.5 billion that we processed, 300 million came from post-purchase revenue. So it was a 12% increase in revenue in the aggregate for the entire network. And the reason it works so well is two reasons. First, it's really easy to buy, right? We're reusing the payment token. And you saw what we did with RallyPay before. Someone can come in, be recognized, click the button to buy, click the button to add the upsell. So everything is really smooth and reuses that payment token properly. The second reason it works so well is on this left side, what you'll see is this is the type of control that the merchant has over which offers are shown based on what's actually being bought. So you have control to say something like this, right? When the cart contains this product and this product, but is less than $100 total, then show this specific set of offers. So the offers become very congruent. And you can do things like you can identify what people buy most often and make recommendations like that. In the future, we've actually worked with our friends at Recharge for a long time at CartHook. And what we were able to do there is allow you to upsell into a subscription. So you bought this bag of coffee once. In the post-purchase offer, with just one click, you can say, hey, we'll give you free shipping or we'll give you $10 off if you turn into a subscription. So what this really does is it expands the marketing canvas. It lets you do more things at the point of checkout to increase your revenue and to minimize abandonment, all based on basically a team that's kind of obsessed with the checkout and focused on it instead of a platform that has all these other things to think about and deal with. Why don't I stop there for a second? Any questions or feedback? We're just really excited to bring this type of a thing out to market outside of the Shopify ecosystem with those initial platforms, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, and Swell, and we'll continue to add more. Mo.
I don't know if it's a silly question or not. This would be UI UX design, right?
So we look at it. So it's buying experience, right, and conversion optimization kind of wrapped up into a UI. What we want to do though is make it easy. So there's no code involved. It's just like point and click and drag and drop. So there's no code required. The integration we kind of help with. Maybe there's some integration to make sure things work, like your shipping app, that type of a thing. But generally speaking, because it puts the order into BigCommerce or the whatever backend, just like every other order, a lot of it is just plug and play, and it just triggers everything like a normal order. The only thing that we help figure out is what happens at the checkout specifically. Things like abandoned cart SMS or abandoned cart emails. We just make sure that that's dialed in.
Hey, Jordan, I have a question.
Hey.
So I really like this product. I think it's really interesting, especially thinking from that post-checkout perspective. I think that offer is very interesting and of course has a big value to clients. Question around the integration piece. So when someone checks out from their Shopify environment, would they be taken to a different website or the different URL, that sort of thing? Or is this still within the Shopify environment?
Okay, so the one thing to clarify is that we work with anyone other than Shopify. Okay. We worked with them at CartHook. I'm no longer interested in working with them.
Um,
Yes, I'm going to be polite because this is going on YouTube, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But what you're alluding to is important, especially when it comes to conversion tracking and cookies. So we publish the checkout onto the merchant's domain. That way,
Okay.
cookies are properly withheld throughout the transaction, throughout those pages. And also it looks and feels like a regular buying experience. And it has the merchant's logo. So it feels and looks and behaves like the merchant's checkout. One of the really important things that we do is in many ways, we want to bring control of the checkout experience back to the merchant. It's historically been owned by the platform. And we think there are a lot of issues around that that should be addressed, and giving more freedom to the merchant and putting the power back in the merchant's hands is one of our ideals, both philosophically and from the business point of view. And so we don't like to tell people what they can and can't do. We want to give them the power. We want the experience to feel like it's their experience. We want it to be on their domain with their logo. And Rally Pay is really the only thing you'll see there. And the intention there is to make that recognizable so that as we start to span across hundreds and then thousands of sites, people start to identify it as a very easy option to check out with that isn't a traditional wallet like a PayPal, that it has all your credit card info stored. It really feels a lot like Shop Pay, but liberated out from one individual platform and one individual processor.
Yeah, it sounds similar a little bit to Amazon Pay. I know that's also sort of like an infant product, but is that sort of like where you guys are competing?
Yes, in some ways, but it's right. The wallet aspect is wrapped up into the checkout. So the shopper doesn't need to go create a new wallet. They don't need to create an account. They don't need a password. They don't need anything. They just go through your checkout once, or any checkout once. And then as long as they check out, yes, I want my information stored, then they're saved. So it's like a much lower friction wallet system.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
How are you? So I know that if they're in your system, that it's good for any site that's using your software. So you're going to develop a network like ShopPay, but does that work on Apple devices with the cookie changes and stuff? How does that?
Yeah, it'll work because it's underneath, right? It's at the vault level, so it's not at the device level. So it effectively goes into our database with a row, right? All of your information in a giant row. And then when you come in and say, here's my email, we say, oh, we know that. That's one thing in the row. Let's send them a text message to verify that it's actually them. And then we can verify, okay, it's them. Let's recall all their information from the vault. And the cookie, not the cookie, the payment token is at the vault level. So it's not sitting on the device. It doesn't interfere in terms of privacy issues. Then it's cookie, then it's up to the device settings. Then you come back, you don't have to do anything. If it's cookied, you can just go like ShopPay. You just go right from the cart to the checkout on any store that uses Rally, and all your information will already be stored.
Cool.
Jordan, I imagine that probably has some positive implications when it comes to fraud as well. Are you guys seeing any trends there that you'd like to share?
It's, that is one of those things that's as a checkout company, security and fraud is just part of our lives forever, and QA. So we do everything on our end to ensure that we handle as little as possible when it comes to the payment token. We lean on the big partners of ours, the Stripes, the Braintrees, and the VGS to handle a lot of that. So even if things happen at our level, the payment tokens and credentials and everything are still secure, a level below. Yeah. And then what we do is we work with fraud protection services. If a merchant wants to add Riskified or Signified or no fraud or something else, it gets added alongside our checkout, and it effectively hits their API before we transact, before we authorize.
It's fantastic.
One question I'm asking for clarification. So you're working with the existing payment methods that the merchant already has, which means that if I've negotiated a discount, let's say I've got a special deal with Braintree, I still get my negotiated rates?
Yep. That's right. So the merchant is able to bring over their existing accounts with the existing negotiated rates. And the partners, the Stripe and Braintrees, are very, very happy because we've worked with them in the past. And they know that when we work with the merchant, generally speaking, all things being equal, revenue starts to go up. So we have deals and partnerships with them where they just want people to bring on their existing Stripe and Braintree accounts. We also have a deal with Square, but we haven't built out that integration. The payment process integrations, because of all the magic we do with the payment token around post-purchase offers, the payment process integrations are our biggest, like hairiest projects. So we're a little slow on adding those because we're extremely careful. And then, of course, if people are interested in using the product but don't have a Stripe or Braintree, then we're happy to use our relationships to connect people. And we usually just tell people to, work with both of them to see who'll give you the best deal.
Cool. Which adds the next question. What do you cost?
Sure. So we're in an early access period. We're a new company. We raised the seed round in 2021. And right now our goal is feedback and traction. And so we have removed any monthly fee. We don't have any subscription fee. It's free during early access. It's actually entirely free during early access. When we come out of the early access period, our normal pricing is 50 basis points. So 0.5% of revenue that goes through the checkout. And then as you are a larger merchant, that pricing starts to go down. And that's it. So it's just 0.5%. And then our job is to make you so much more than that, that you're happy to pay it.
Okay. Anybody else have questions right now? Because I'd like to give Andrew a shot at discussing Recharge. And for those of you who came in a little bit of late, our third speaker was unable to make it. So it's these two programs. So feel free to add input and ask lots of questions. So Andrew,
Okay,
take
cool.
it away.
I'll just say thanks for everyone. If you have any questions, hit us up. Either Jordan at Rallyon or Sam can post his email, and you can just go to our website and contact us. Thank you very much. Thanks, Lori.
And then just hang around. There may be more questions that come up.
Yeah, I'm here. Just gonna.
Cool.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Andrew King. I'm a senior partner manager over here at Recharge Payments. I've been with Recharge for about a year, coming up in a year here in February, but I've been in e-commerce a lot longer. I actually worked at BigCommerce for about 6 years prior to working here at Recharge. So if you're on the BigCommerce platform, I'm certainly very familiar with that. And currently what I do here at Recharge is I head up our BigCommerce initiative. And so we've recently, and I say recently, it's been a little bit over a year now, launched an integration with BigCommerce to offer a subscription solution for merchants that are on the BC platform. If you're on Shopify, no big deal. We've been on Shopify since I think 2009, and the vast majority of subscription companies, merchants on Shopify are actually using Recharge. We have a little over 16,000 merchants with them, and we are growing tremendously in the BigCommerce space as well. Thank you, Lori, for inviting me to chat with you guys today about Recharge. Jordan, Sam, man, that's really cool. Rallyon, I'm looking forward to seeing some of the big things that you guys do. I love optimized checkouts because I think they make a huge impact on conversion rate and LTV, and overall just making businesses online a lot more successful. So thank you so much for your presentation and sharing us a little bit about that. So. I was expecting us to just kind of do a little bit of a Discord, so I didn't really prepare a specific presentation for this. So I also want to say thanks, Jordan and Sam, for going first. That way I could scramble and pull together a presentation in the meantime. So I'm going to share my screen for a little bit of an adapted masterclass that I did recently, where I did a webinar with BigCommerce, and we talked about what the state of subscriptions are, how subscriptions play in the online space, and just give you guys a little bit of information about that. Before I jump into it, I'm going to do the 30-second elevator pitch on Recharge just to give you guys a quick understanding of what we do. And then, when I do presentations like this, I really just want to focus on the content, make sure that everybody here on the call walks away a little bit more knowledgeable about subscriptions and how you might use that in your business instead of just using this as an opportunity to pitch a product. But Recharge is a subscription platform. We plug into BigCommerce, we plug into Shopify, as I said earlier, and essentially we overlay a widget on your store to allow and enable merchants such as yourselves to offer subscriptions. In addition to that, we offer a customer portal. So once you have subscribers that have started to subscribe to your products, they can manage those subscriptions from a customer portal, set frequency, skip subscriptions. If you're like selling toothpaste, maybe you don't need 8 toothpastes in a month, right? You can skip that subscription. And we really do everything we can to put the control both in the merchant's hand around how you want to offer those subscriptions, as well as the consumer's hands on how to manage those subscriptions. We think that that has a really big impact on increasing that lifetime value. So, all right, let's hop into it here. Share screen. And I'm going to pop over to this one. Okay. And thing out here in a little slideshow. How's it sound? I think I can pop out my speaker notes so I don't sound like a goof when I'm chatting with you guys. Okay, so let's take a look here. Just as an overall market, subscriptions are estimated to reach 500 billion by 2025. I've got some really cool graphics here I'm going to talk to you guys about here in just a minute. But particularly since COVID started, we've seen a massive boom in the growth of subscriptions. In 2016, it was a small percentage of online e-commerce sales. And in 2020, I think it's grown like 800% is the last time that we've seen it. It's just booming year over year, super duper fast. And as you can see, we're projecting to see a massive amount of merchants using subscriptions and leveraging subscriptions, especially with kind of the way that things are going in e-commerce. This slide here, I just want to walk you through. There's a lot of verticals out there that that folks are looking at for subscriptions, but there's some standout leaders in this space. Health and wellness tends to be one of the largest ones. As a quick merchant highlight, BigCommerce merchant of ours, First Aid Beauty. I don't know if you guys have seen that Procter & Gamble brand. They recently launched subscriptions with us. They are a health and wellness brand. And they saw about a 60% increase in their subscription count year over year, moving off of a custom solution that they had homegrown built and just doing the plug and play solution here with Recharge. But health and wellness makes up the vast majority of subscriptions. Beauty and personal care is a close second. And then we start to see some consumables and other physical goods like food and beverage, fashion apparel, and home goods are sort of the leading industries or verticals. So if you're in one of those verticals, you might consider putting together a subscription offering. And typically we see a lot of success with that. Recharge is awesome for really all stages of growth. So if you are running an e-commerce store right now and you don't have subscriptions, you're thinking about trying it. One of the things I loved about Jordan's approach to Rally On is he offers the ability to kind of A/B test and quickly deploy an optimized checkout. And we offer a very similar ability for you to launch subscriptions very quickly, roll it out, use our basic themes that are offered directly within Recharge and start acquiring customers very quickly. So it's super easy to set up. However, if you are already doing subscriptions and you're either in this expansion or more mature stage, Recharge offers a lot of flexibility from custom design, reducing churn through that customer portal, engaging with customers through like Recharge SMS. So actually giving merchants the ability to control their subscription via SMS. And then a whole slew of analytics and data exports, as well as automation. So you can kind of set up your subscription solution and have it run by itself, or use some of those analytics and data to make educated decisions to tweak and change that. If you're thinking about subscriptions, you haven't started it yet, typically you're going to be looking in one of three types of subscriptions. I'm going to mention a fourth one here in a second that's not listed on this page. But typically you'll be looking at curation, and this is sort of like the Boxu or subscription box model. So you put together a customized box with a number of different items to sample. I think somebody had like, maybe it was the Crazy Jack store. I was checking that one out as well. And I thought, hey, this might be a good fit for curation. So maybe was that Jacob? Jacob, that was your store, right? Yep. If you haven't considered a curation box, I was sitting there looking at that and I thought, man, this would be a really great idea to put together a curation box.
Okay.
So yeah, we could definitely help you out with that.
Awesome.
There's also the replenishment side of things. This is like the toothpaste model, right? Maybe you buy toilet paper or toothpaste, or health and wellness is typically one of the ones that we see very often using a replenish model. First aid beauty, right? You know, you want to get your creams, your face creams, your acne medication, that kind of stuff. You need this stuff on a regular basis. Replenishment model, Recharge has your back. We can definitely help you out with that. And then finally is the access model. And this is access, it can be done in a number of ways. This is probably the least used model that we've seen. So it's the smallest segment, but it is one that is growing tremendously. And we're doubling down this year in 2022 on memberships because there's a lot of companies out there that want to do this. Typically what we've seen for an access model is maybe it's like a club and you set like a tiered subscription style. So it could be, $10 a month is tier 1, 20, 30, tier 2, tier 3. And you have either access to content or a regular replenishment subscription or a curation. So it differs somewhat slightly in that model versus traditional curation or replenishment, which are typically one-time cost or like a subscribe and save model by setting up different tiers or memberships. And then that final one that I wanted to mention earlier was more focused on a membership model. And this is sort of like maybe like your online learning classes where you subscribe to have access to a certain amount of content. And each month that you're there, you can get access to more and more content. And that's typically your subscription model. Now I'm just chattering away, so I'm not seeing any hand raises here, but if you have questions, interrupting me won't hurt my feelings any. So if you want me to dive in a little bit more to something, just raise your hand, and maybe Lori or AJ, you can let me know since I can't see the chat.
Yeah, I got it up.
We mentioned some key verticals earlier, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on this. Beauty and personal care is probably the highest one. Fashion, apparel, food and beverages. Be thinking about physical subscription. Is typically where Recharge is most closely aligned. So if you're sending out physical goods on your store and you're considering subscriptions, these are some verticals that work really well. I'm based out of Austin, Texas, so I've seen like Hum Kombucha, which we recently launched in Costco and a number of other big box stores. Pure Canabox is another big commerce store that we recently launched. If you are looking for that curation model where you have a bunch of different CBD products. So pretty fun stuff. So the rest of this presentation is really just case studies. So I won't bore you guys with case studies, but I would be happy to link you guys to our subscription commerce report, which has all of these case studies in here. But I think maybe this is probably best for like open Q&A and we can chat through it. And Lori, I think you might have had some questions that maybe Jordan and I both can answer in sort of this AOV, LTV range.
Yeah, I mean, for example, and I was trying to figure out how to actually figure out our numbers. So we put subscriptions on a client a couple months ago, and they are selling supplements, and their people had been asking for it for a while. But as I seem to recall, we had an immediate, about 40% of orders became subscriptions. And, one of the advantages to subscriptions is that it's cheaper to keep a customer than to go find a new one. So as long as they continue to market for new customers, then their numbers should continue to go up, which I think is really awesome. Is there like a number, I mean, where you're beginning to see either an average order value bump or lifetime? I mean, I would think the order value might not bump so much as the lifetime customer value.
Yeah, your intuition is correct on that. Average order value oftentimes is impacted more by industry, right? So as a quick example, food and beverage, they have the highest average order value year over year. I think it's something like, I'll pull up the report here, $56 in food and beverage. And that actually decreased from 57 down to 55 as an average order value with subscriptions. Their lifetime value shot up tremendously. So those merchants or those customers are sticking around with merchants much longer. They're really customizing their subscription from a food and beverage model. So we've seen the average order value go down, but those merchants will continue to order month over month or biweekly or year over year because they have a lot more control over their subscription and how they want to receive those items or what goes into that replenishment model or that curated box. They tend to stick around a lot longer and they're worth a lot more. That particular vertical looked like about 60% increase year over year in lifetime value, which is huge.
Very huge. As you heard, Cosita thought it was wonderful.
Yeah.
What other, I mean, I have questions, but what questions do you guys have?
Seems like subscriptions is kind of straightforward. People like, you get it, right? Create a subscription, keep your customers around, give them control. It seems to be a pretty simple formula.
No, it isn't. I actually have a question, Andrew, for you. In my website, we sell leather goods, bags, and all that kind of stuff. But I find out that sometimes customers are just around the website. I mean, 7 to 9 times and just about to make the checkout. But I don't get easy. Sometimes, I mean, I can do even the sale, but not the subscription. What do you think, in your experience, that could be happening? Because they stay around the website a while. I mean, not just like come and go, but I don't get enough subscription so I can keep those customers close.
And are you running subscriptions currently on that website? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, by our own, I don't have any service like yours or products like yours. It's the first time I hear that, but yeah, I mean, we try to do ourselves. Maybe you can take a look up later and see what. I mean, let me know what you see, and we can do something.
So I think if I'm kind of hearing it and putting it just as straightforward as possible, you're thinking, how do I increase my conversion? We've got folks coming to the store and checking things out, but they're not making it through to the payment and order status page. They're not completing that conversion, right?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, they at the end they do buy, but it takes like, I mean, we're a brand new brand, so it takes time and visits, but I don't have enough subscriptions. I mean, to make my possible customers be aware of what we are doing.
Right. Yeah, there's a number of things that come to mind. I think you're on a great call here when it comes to checkout conversion. You should be talking to Sam and Jordan about getting an optimized checkout in place to reduce friction on that checkout page. 100%. If you're not talking to Lori about how to optimize your website and reduce reduce friction on the actual surfing of your pages, finding products, I think that's a really good thing for you to look at as well. Two things that stand out to me that I've seen for folks that are in a similar situation is better analytics. You could go talk to some of the folks over at Glue to get really good information about what people are doing on your website. And then there's a website there's a company called Lucky Orange. I think it's $5 a month, and they pull a ton of information about user behaviors on your website, and they will literally point out in a full-on report, if you have it running for a month, $5 for a whole month, and they will tell you where the most friction is on your website, where people are getting stopped, where they're spending the most time, and where they're not continuing to after that. So I don't think any of that has to deal with subscriptions specifically, but if you're struggling to get people to that checkout and buy from you, those are kind of the top 4 things that I think about.
Okay, appreciate it. Yeah,
Lucky Orange has session recordings and things like that, so you can actually watch what's happening, which is really neat. figures. I was going to add one fourth thing to your list, Andrew, is they may want to have a conversion expert or user experience expert do an audit and actually take a look, and then you know, you could tell people, and both AJ and I do that kind of work. So it's a little bit tough to audit a site that's brand new, but even there, a lot of times you can spot things that are likely culprits.
Yeah, I can give a few points on here. When I ran my e-commerce business, this was my role, conversion optimization. So I kind of got a little lost and obsessed with it. So it's right. You need everything lined up. You need the advertising or social, right? Wherever the audience is generated, you need that to match the page that they first see after they click. And then you need the information there to be provided for them to make a buying decision. And then you want the cart to build trust. And then you need the checkout to be smooth. It's kind of, it all needs to line up. If any of those are off, it doesn't operate as smoothly as you want it to be. And then that's when people start to look around for kind of, you know, answers. So there are a few things you can do. You can use Google Analytics, and that's kind of straightforward. And that, if you look at where people are visiting, ideally, you can see people's path and where they're going from which page. An example is, when we ran our store, we found a lot of people that would hit the ad, they'd go to the product page, and the first thing they would do is they'd go to the about page. So that felt weird to us, but what are they really doing? They're saying to themselves, can I trust these people? What is this? Where am I? Because I've never seen this site before. And so what we did is we optimized our About Us page. We put pictures of the three brothers, and we were like, we're a family business online, because that was our unique point of view. And then we would see people go to the about page and then go back to the product and add it to the cart and buy it. Like we had reached that threshold of trust of, okay, I'm going to buy $100 solar light from these guys, because at least I know who they are. And they're putting their phone number and they're giving me these 5 points of trust of how they think about their customers. So that was something that we needed to do to overcome that. Another great thing is if you use live chat, the questions that come in through live chat are telling you the information that's missing or not highlighted properly on your product page in order for them to make that buying decision. So for our weird use case selling solar lights, people would be like, does this reach my flag? And we were like, what kind of question is that? It turns out that half the people that wanted to buy wanted it for their flag out front. We didn't know that. We're from New York, but this is a big country. A lot of people have the American flag out in front, and there's a weird funny quirk that we learned by listening to these chats, that if you have an American flag, you can't keep it out at night unless you light it up. We didn't know that, but the information we got from these chats was, okay, it sounds like people want to buy these solar lights to light up their American flags. Then you take that information and you start to put it on your product page. Then we created a category called solar flag lights. Then we started to run advertisements for, this will light up your flag, this will reach 20 feet. So the information you're getting from your customers, you want to regurgitate back out to the product page, because if someone's asking you on chat, that means another 10 people are just clicking away and not asking you. So it's like this intuitive / analytical thing around, where are people going on the site? What do they need? Why are they not buying? What questions are they asking? And then you just kind of work your way down through the funnel. You look at your cart page and you say, do I have trust symbols on here? Am I giving people an idea of when they're going to get their order? Am I basically telling what's about to happen? Then you go to the checkout page and see, is there friction? Does it pop up red as soon as I type the credit card in the field, instead of only going red when I tab out of it and the number isn't proper? And then the last thing that almost nobody does is just check out on your store like once a week. Just do it. And every single bit of emotional question mark that comes up is the enemy. Every single thing that comes up in your mind on, what am I supposed to do next? Why is that? Why am I being asked for the zip code before I'm being asked for the city? Do I like that? Does that feel right? Every single little thing like that gets in the way is potentially adding to your abandonment. So yeah, I could go on about this stuff.
That was such a great
Thank you. Appreciate
example,
it.
Jordan. I'd love to just build on that with a couple of other tool ideas if you want to go deeper on any of those questions, because Jordan just outlined a really great case study of how to look for signal across the whole journey. There's a couple of tools where you can actually see customers using the tool or using the website and capture their live feedback. So Beyond click tracking tools, there are user usability testing tools like trymyui.com, where you can pay people a very reasonable amount and ask them to go through the whole checkout process. So in addition to that, like your own gut check on where do I feel that discomfort, you can actually hear people say, I don't understand what the store is about, or what's the shipping policy here? And all of those are even stronger signals, in addition to chat kind of feedback that you would get of like, these are the top priorities or the top pain points among all the options of what we could fix. And then all of the things Jordan said, I would recommend is you get traffic to be split testing them, because we see over and over and over that our intuition on things and how to solve the problems, we know the problems, we see the problems in the data, but how to solve them, we need to split test to make sure we can clearly say, yes, this made a difference. Because sometimes when we test something, we see that it actually hurts conversion. And you want to make sure all those small decisions add up to growing the company instead of providing some, backtracking on that.
Yeah, the user testing is not expensive, really easy to do. You really could just go to one of these like UI testing sites and post a job that says, I want people to run through this checkout. Here's like a virtual credit card, take the product and put it down to $1 so people can just go through the process. And it'll cost you like $100 to send a bunch of people through it. And that is a painful, important experience to hear all that gnarly feedback about your website. Yeah, what you mentioned around tools that allow you to watch visitors in real time, that's actually how we learned about most of this stuff. We had live chat set up, and people use the live chat to some degree, but one of the things the live chat did is it gave a view of everyone on the site currently and what their path was. Which pages have they visited and where are they currently? And that's actually what showed us, like, why do people keep going to the About Us page? Why do people care about the About Us page? And so is that tool and watching people go through that, that brought that insight up. Cool. I hope that's helpful.
That was a good question, Patrizia. I feel like you got a lot of information from that one.
Yeah, totally. I mean, thank you guys. I really appreciate all the information that you share with me. And yeah, as you said, it's everything at the same time, trying to set up everything. And very good advice, Jordan, check out your store at least once a week. I mean, how it functions from 0 to 10, So yeah, I need to catch up with some of you guys later.
Andrew, I have a question for you about subscriptions. I would be curious if there's any surprising use cases that you guys have seen that ended up being successful. And then I'd love to hear a little bit about the balance between doing subscription only products versus like if your site should just have subscriptions, or if you should sort of strike a balance for any product to do a subscription or a one-off purchase.
Yeah, surprising stuff. Let's think here. Like like surprising products. I could tell you some of my favorite ones off the top of my head, for sure. I don't know if there's any that really stand out as overly surprising. I think the one that we weren't expecting to get was an adult diapers one. That one was most recently. And it's actually one of our most successful stores. That was always an interesting one. CBD has grown quite a bit over the last year and a half. A lot of folks, with new legislation, are starting to sell CBD products. Guns and ammo, or not guns, but ammo is also another one that you don't often think about. That kind of makes sense. Put that one on subscription if you live in West Texas. Why not, right? So those are some of the ones that really stand out to me. I think my favorite subscription thus far is Boxu. They offer really unique Japanese snacks curated and sent to you every year or every month. So that was a lot of fun. Your question about subscription only versus one-time checkout. I love that question because a lot of folks are trying to figure out, do I only offer subscriptions or should I only do one-time products? And the answer is, ¿por qué no los dos? Do both. We, at Recharge, we offer the ability to have a subscription in your checkout as well as one-time products. So you can offer both. If you are, say, working, let's use Jacob's website here, for example. It looked like you offer, let me just pull it back up. Jacob, what do you guys offer on your website? Look like gifts?
So it's a little bit like miscellaneous right now. We started with t-shirts, a lot of it pet t-shirts, and then we started adding pet products. And then we just add a few different things just to kind of see what works, looking for recommendations. So that's part of what we're trying to do still, is like, what are we theming this as?
Yeah.
I like
so you offer
products.
some like unique pet clothes, right? And are you working maybe with your manufacturer producer to get new lines of clothing every month?
Yeah, we're still looking around trying to find
Yeah.
the right providers, and we're still in a really experimental process.
So one way to, I think, maybe tie in AJ's question and perhaps, your store, which is, an example we can look at right now, is, let's say you come out with a different cat costume, maybe a themed cat costume every month, right? And we got October coming up. Maybe you have like a cat in a cute little pumpkin costume, and then, or a bat, because I'm here in Austin, bats are our thing. And then December, maybe it's a little Christmas tree or like an ornament, right? I could see a world where you offer a subscription box, like a recurring monthly curated box of different cat clothes or dog clothes that people who are a really big fan of the work that you put out, they're like, yes, I want that every month. And then for your new customers who haven't bought from you before, you still offer a one-time purchase for individual items that you want to sell. So you can do both with Recharge. You can do both in subscriptions. You don't have to do just one or the other. And we're finding a lot of the times that the folks that offer both are typically a lot more successful, because they have kind of two streams of revenue. They have that one-time product, one-time purchase. They pump a lot of marketing and a lot into getting customers to the website to get that first product in their hands. And then when people are coming back a second time, that's when we start talking about lifetime value. They're like, oh, snap, Jordan offers a subscription for these super cute clothes, right? And yeah, I totally want to be signed up for that. It's only, $15 a month, and I get, something unique that nobody else has sent to my door, and I don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah. Because we've been experimenting with, like, you take a picture of someone's pet and put them on different things. The food bowl, tag, shirt, a shirt for yourself, a shirt for the dog, a bed. So I could see that being a bit, a good curation subscription. Yeah, I like it.
I like the idea. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, thanks.
AJ, did that answer your question? I have a tendency to go off on tangents occasionally, so I just want to make sure I got the question answered.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's great to hear it grounded in an example as well. I think it would be a really interesting A/B test to consider, is like that trade-off between the long time LTV of getting a subscription and like what it would cost to not get an order today as well. Do you know if that's ever been, is that an experiment you've ever heard anybody run?
Where they kind of take a look at what the lifetime value is for subscriptions over just like one-time purchases?
I'm picturing a test where the PDP has a subscription offer or a one-time purchase offer versus the variant would only have subscriptions.
Yes, we have tested that. And funny enough, we have that in our subscription commerce report. And the too long didn't read version of that is subscriptions won out time and time again because they set it up. They don't have to go through the friction of doing a one-time checkout for products that they want over and over again. Sometimes people forget to do that. They forget to go and buy it, or maybe it's just not on top of their head. Whereas a subscription is just going to run it and manage it for you right off the bat. You don't have to worry about it. People get these products delivered to their door. So subscription wins out, I would say, like 9.9 out of 10 times. Let me link that commerce report actually here in the chat.
Cool.
You guys would enjoy looking at this.
I realize we're right at time, but I also want to ask Jordan the same question, because he mentioned that a lot of stores could A/B test. I'm curious if you guys have any specific results of what you've seen of using your platform for checkout versus the out-of-the-box solution?
We don't have that data yet. So what information I do have is from the previous product at CardHook, and that was with Shopify. And it was 50-50 on whether our conversion rate beat Shopify's or not. It depended on a lot of different things. For us, it was the combination of conversion rate plus the average order value increase of the post-purchase offers. And I gave that 12% number, but that's in aggregate. So some merchants increased revenue by 5%, others like really brought it into core of their strategy, and it would be 20% plus. So at CardHook and Shopify, we had to kind of figure out the ROI between the conversion rate and the post-purchase. I think at Rally is going to be very different. I think at Rally, we are going to be able to beat most checkouts head to head. And so that's our goal. Our goal is beat the conversion rate and increase the average order value. And then it's kind of like, becomes more of a no-brainer. At Shopify, it was difficult because it was not easy to work with Shopify on a lot of these things. And their checkout is quite good. And Shop Pay is a fantastic buying experience. That's part of why we built Rally Pay, so people could have that type of a modern checkout experience for their stores without moving platforms. So you definitely have to test, and there is no rule on yes, it will always win no matter what, because it all depends on audience, price, all these different factors, demographics, geography, everything.
Great, thank you.
I would suggest that most major changes should be tested, because for all the same reasons that one may be more successful than another. You need to find out if it works for your business. It may also need tweaking. If you're not, for example, matching the upsell items well to what they just purchased, that's going to impact the success rate. So you don't want to offer a cat toy if somebody just bought a bunch of dog stuff. So that kind of thing will make a big difference.
And there's always surprises. Well, one of the most interesting surprises we got at CardHook was that one of the best performing upsell products was just upselling the exact same product that was just purchased, which sounds pretty strange. But in reality, if someone just bought something, they made the decision to buy it. And then if you offer them the exact same thing with the 20% discount as like a thank you post-purchase, all of a sudden, maybe they want to buy another one, or maybe they want to buy one for their partner or their kids or their sister or who knows what. So it's one of these things where here's bone broth. And then the upsell is here's the exact same bone broth with 10% off. And that ends up working really, really well. So you never know what surprises you're going to get around this stuff.
Actually, in that vein, when I was buying CBD for my dog, there was one company that I was using, and they would do in the post sale. It's like I'd buy one bottle and they'd come back at me and they'd say, well, if you buy 3 bottles, you can save this. And I would intentionally wait for that offer. And then I would stock up, and then I wouldn't go back for 6 months. But
I would not be
just
surprised.
had it again.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's a site using CardHook.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say that's very close to a subscribe and save model as well, which is, something that you can set up pretty easily. Same thing. You're going to be buying CBD oil for your dog at least every 6 months. Why not subscribe? You don't have to think about it. And typically a lot of merchants will offer a discount if you subscribe.
That's where he failed, was that I didn't get the same price if I subscribed, and I knew what the upsell was. So that's why he didn't get a subscription, which is the kind of details you want to
gotta reach out to him and send him over to me. We'll get him on that subscription so we can get you that recurring discount.
I've been trying to take him as a customer for a while, quite honestly. So I have a
Jacob,
question.
it looked like you had
guys.
a question. Sorry, Jacob, did you have a question? I thought I saw you raise your hand there.
Oh, no, not just now. You answered it earlier.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Sorry, Lori, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. I was going to say, as we talk about this stuff and, testing and getting to know your audience, I'm wondering if there's an interest in doing a session. Actually, it may end up being more than one session, but I think it'd be kind of cool to show you how, for example, a tool like Lucky Orange works, or a tool where you could pay a user subscriber, you know, a user, an anonymous user to walk through your site and take notes, and maybe even another session on how to plan your tests and where you get the ideas. Do you guys have some interest in that topic? I see one. They're not, a lot of it's affordable for even a store, although it really helps to have some traffic. If you were just starting out, you might not have traffic to judge anything by, but that's also a good place to use anonymous user testing to get somebody to walk through the store and tell you what they see that works and doesn't. So there's always a place for it. Any other questions today? Okay, well, I guess we'll wrap up for today. We're still working on next month's topic, but I'm sure it'll be good.
Oh,
Yes.
so what's the YouTube channel to go to get this video to see it again?
Oh,
we send this out after the meetup to the audience list, so you'll get the direct link as a follow-up to this.
Cool.
Yeah.
But it's the meetup, the Austin e-commerce meetup. E-commerce and retail meetup is the official name.
Oh,
I've also got a playlist of them on my channel, Redline Minds.
okay.
So
Very cool.
give us a chance of getting seen in a couple different places. So
Well, this was a lot of fun, Lori. Thank you so much for putting it together and for giving us the chance to chat with your folks here.
yeah, it's fun. So anyway, thank you all for showing up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
See you guys all next month. Take care.
Yes, take care. Bye.